welcome to my YouTube. Today we are going to be reading some school-themed Reddit stories, and I'm doing this live on my Twitch channel, so at the end of each story, I will include some discussion that I have with my Twitch chat, which I really like as a concept, so I hope you enjoy. The first story, it's quite short, but we'll get into it. The title is, "Roommate kept using my makeup without asking, so I made sure she'd never do it again." And this is from Petty Revenge, which, okay, interested to get into it. "I shared an apartment with a girl who had no concept of boundaries. She constantly borrowed my stuff without asking. Clothes, shoes, and worst of all, my makeup. I told her countless times to stop, but she always brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. The last straw came when I found out she had used my expensive foundation for a party and didn't even bother cleaning the bottle. That's when I decided it was time to teach her a lesson. I went out and bought a cheap old foundation from the dollar store and swapped it with mine, adding a bit of self-tanner to the mix. I left it in plain sight on my vanity and waited. Sure enough, the next weekend, she waltzed out of the bathroom with an orange face. I didn't say a word as she headed off to her party. The next day, she came home furious, complaining that people had been laughing at her all night. I just smiled and said, 'Oh no, maybe it wasn't your shade.' She didn't touch my stuff again after that." Okay, interesting. I feel like, I know this is boring, but I feel like this isn't true. I don't think this is real because, I don't know. People use the wrong foundation shades all the time. If it's like insanely bad, then sure, people might like, I don't know. Do people act like that? Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that woman not use a mirror? A lot of people use the wrong shade of foundation. I would even go to say most people use the wrong shade of foundation for them. But it usually isn't like that dramatic. It used to be worse, I think, a couple of years ago. But now with all of these makeup YouTubers and makeup influencers, people don't make that mistake or like as bad. But if it's crazy to the point where people would laugh at her. Also, I will say, if you have self-tanner, that develops, so it gets worse during the day or however long you're actually wearing the self-tanner for before washing it off. It'll get darker, but I don't know. If this is true, either way, if this is true, what a freak that roommate is. Stealing makeup, that is so unsanitary. That is so, I would feel very, very, very uncomfortable if it was not someone I want to use my makeup. It's like, what's a good comparison for a guy? Soap? Yeah, like soap, but I feel like it's also a little bit worse because it's like on the face, you know, on your mouth, like sometimes inside of your eye. Like, I had a housemate that would eat my food, but I just started openly stealing theirs and they stopped. What is wrong with people? Oh my God. People truly have no boundaries. Like, just thinking about doing that makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like taking someone else's things like that. All right, next story. This one is a "Am I the Asshole" story. And the title is, "Am I the asshole for signing my kids up for public school behind my wife's back?" That sounds a little cuckoo bonkers, but let's find out. Let's read. So, I, 36M, am a dad to six-year-old twins, and my wife, 28F, is a stay-at-home mom who has recently gone full crunchy mom mode. She's all about essential oils, no processed foods, cloth diapers when they were babies, and she's absolutely against anything mainstream. For the longest time, I didn't mind because a lot of it is about healthy living and I want what's best for our kids. but things are starting to get way out of control. The latest issue is that my wife is dead set on homeschooling the twins. She's convinced that public school is toxic and that our kids won't thrive in a system that's designed to make them little robots. She even has a few friends in her crunchy mom group who homeschool their kids, and she's been talking nonstop about joining their co-op. I've expressed my concerns about this from the beginning. I work full-time, and I don't think she realizes how hard it's going to be to manage homeschooling 2 kids at the same time while giving them a proper education. But she won't hear it. Anytime I bring up public school, she shuts down immediately, saying she doesn't want the twins to get bullied or that we'll lose control of what they're learning. I just don't think homeschooling is realistic, and I can't see how she'll keep them on any sort of consistent schedule. I gave her time to prove me wrong over the summer, thinking maybe she'd ease into it and have a plan. Instead, she spent most of the time bouncing between different unschooling philosophies and signing them up for random activities with her crunchy mom friends. The kids are constantly bored, and I've seen them starting to fall behind. I'm not proud to admit it, but I went behind her back and enrolled the twins in public school for the fall. I told her a few weeks before school started, and she absolutely lost it. She's accusing me of betraying her and said I was undermining her role as a mother. She keeps saying I don't trust her to raise our kids, which isn't true. I just don't think she's prepared to handle homeschooling, and I don't want the twins to suffer because of it. She spent the whole first week of school trying to make me feel guilty by saying the twins are miserable and that I've ruined their childhoods by forcing them into the system. The thing is, as far as I can tell, the twins actually love their first week school. They've made friends and like their teacher, but my wife keeps insisting they're just pretending to like it to make me happy. Now, she's talking about pulling them out mid-year and starting over with her homeschooling plan, but I'm putting my foot down. I want the best for my kids, and I honestly think public school is the right choice for them right now. My wife is making me feel like I'm the bad guy for going behind her back and forcing them into something she was so against. He then edited and added, "Yes, the twins are vaccinated. My wife wasn't so far in the crunchy pipeline back then. Her friends do sometimes make her feel bad about that. I looked into homeschooling and unschooling and did my research. I had hoped my wife had a plan, which was why I gave her the summer to figure that out." That's really horrible. Oh my God. That's so rough. I think a lot of people nowadays have experience with loved ones and people around them falling into certain pipelines online where you adopt a certain belief system, and it's very easy to end up there, and it's so difficult to handle when it's someone you love and you don't agree with them on such important points, and especially when there's kids involved. Oh my God, can you imagine? I knew it would be some crunchy mom shit. Yeah. If you guys don't know what crunchy means, from my understanding, it's the type of pipeline online that certain women fall into, where it starts off as like, oh, like be healthy, eat clean. And then it starts going more into like anti-vax. It starts going into like the alt-right pipeline, from my understanding, I think. So it starts out as something good, but then it goes a little, in my opinion, cuckoo bonkers town. Sounds like he made the right choice, yeah. A bit tinfoil hat to go against public school so badly. How can you educate, socialize your kids without interactions? Come on. He's in the reason for sure. I think people can turn out, completely fine being homeschooled, but I believe that it's like insanely difficult to homeschool a child. There's so many studies too on homeschooled kids doing terrible when they decide to go to college because their education before that was shit, and they have immense issues with socializing. I have not heard about that. That's interesting, if that's the case. I can imagine that it is the case. I guess logically the right choice for the kids, but the mom needs help, but it doesn't sound like she wants help. No, I definitely don't think she does. Hi, Alex in chat. From my experience with friends who were homeschooled, they had a deficiency in social skills along with current events. In addition to their career aspirations were set short because homeschooling is not accredited for getting a scholarship for college or university. The father did the right thing for their children. Yeah, I can also imagine in America, like, how difficult that must be with the system. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Either way, this dad was voted not the asshole, which I think we all agree with and could understand. Somebody commented, not the asshole. Your wife was dead set on homeschooling, but it doesn't seem like she had any actual plans or learning programs in place. Keeping kids away from other children isn't fair either. You don't just learn math, reading, and science in school, but you also learn social skills and how to interact with all sorts of different people who are from different backgrounds and walks of life. You also learn how to navigate different social situations, which is beneficial even if those situations are negative, as it gets them familiar with navigating the different situations they will encounter outside of school as they grow up. It sounds like you tried to discuss your feelings about this multiple times with your wife, but each time she shut the conversation down. You are concerned about your children being isolated in a bubble, and that is valid. Was it wrong to go behind her back and enroll the kids in school despite your wife's wishes? That's debatable. You weren't acting out of malice, but out of concern for the well-being of your kids. I'm not sure how else you could have handled this, and you did what you feel is in their best interest, so you're not an asshole for that. The situation is actually so scary, even without kids. Like, what would you do if your partner just turned all crunchy, alt-right? I know, and it happens all the time. Horrible, horrible, horrible. That one was kind of very dark, guys. Okay, I have another story here. This is another Am I the Asshole? And this one is titled, Am I the Asshole for Threatening to Sue Both the School and the Family of My Daughter's Bully? Interesting. I, 30M, and my husband, 33M, have a 11-year-old daughter who's been going through severe bullying at school. It just keeps getting worse. It started off with just name calling, but it's gotten worse over the past few weeks. Context, she's adopted, which is something we've always been open about and celebrated as part of her story. Recently, some kids found out about her adoption and started saying horrible things. Telling her stuff like her birth mom didn't want her. They tell her that she's unwanted, tell her that she's a reject, which is not the case. Her mother loved her very much to the point she literally gave her life so that she could be here. As if this wasn't bad enough, a few days ago, she came home in tears with her hair butchered. They had cut off 2 inches of her ponytail in class, all while taunting her, calling her names, and laughing at her reaction. They will follow her through the halls to make fun of her on a regular basis now. Both my husband and I have been in touch with the school about the bullying more times than I can count. I emailed, called, even showed up in person to speak with teachers and the principal, but all I got were empty promises that they'd look into it. Nothing changed, and my daughter's mental health has taken a hit. She's anxious, struggling to sleep, and now she begs us not to send her to school. Finally, out of frustration and feeling like no one was taking this seriously, we reached out to lawyers to explore legal action against both the school and the bully's family. Only when the school and her parents learned we were considering a legal action did they start to act. Suddenly, the school calls me to say they're moving the bully out of my daughter's class and claim they had a talk with her. The girl's parents reached out too, saying they'd talked to their daughter and promised it would stop. But honestly, I don't believe them. It feels like they're all saying this just to get me to back off and avoid legal consequences. I worry that once the dust settles, things will go right back to how they were, and my daughter will still be dealing with this. My family thinks I should give the school and parents a chance now that they're finally taking action, but I feel like it's all for show. So, am I the asshole for moving forward with legal action even though the school and the bully's parents now claim they're handling it? Whoa! Not sure suing changes anything for the kid, to be honest. I'm assuming they want this to not happen again in the future and for everyone to to make an example of this so that it doesn't happen again. I assume they don't say that though, so I'm not fully sure. That's a lack of school/teacher discipline. If the school and the parents did not do anything, they have no right to get upset when they finally get sued. Yeah, I don't know what I feel about this one. I feel horrendous for this 11-year-old girl. It's just unreal. It's so horrendous. Having your hair cut is just absolutely insane. The trauma that would put you through. I don't know. I think why I have a hard time taking a stand on this one is because I am Swedish and suing people is not a thing. I obviously can think about it as a concept, but I think since I'm not, I don't know how that system works and what comes of that and what consequences that would have for everybody, it's hard for me to say. At least it looks like the parents are actually advocating for their child. It might not be the easiest, but at least the child knows she has people in her corner. Sure, yeah. If it was me, they're lucky they can still walk. Jesus Christ. I'll protect my family at all costs. Dude, humans are so interesting. When we see violence being done, and especially when it's people we love, we go fucking ballistic a lot of the time. But it's also so scary that that's how we work. That's straight right away what we go to, giving back violence. And that's a little bit, it's just scary. I understand why, but everyone should watch Attack on Titan. Every single person on earth should watch Attack on Titan. That is what all of Attack on Titan is about. The cycle of violence and the cycle of hate. Anyways, let's read a funny one now. I don't know if this is a funny one, but I think it's way more lighthearted. Next story is from Relationship Advice. And the title is My 18M Girlfriend, 18F, dropped out of high school. Am I making a mistake wanting to end things with her? My girlfriend dropped out of high school. We're in our last year of high school and she doesn't want to do it anymore because she thinks it's a waste of time. Her parents try to encourage her to see it through, even trying to bribe her with a new car so she wouldn't drop out, but she didn't care. She said she doesn't like doing things she doesn't want to do, so she won't dedicate another year to school. She doesn't even have a job right now because she apparently can't find one. Not even something part-time. She wakes up at 3 p.m., spends time with me and her friends, wants to go to any and every party she can just to have fun and pass the time. I asked her what her plan is and what she wants to do with her life. She said she doesn't need to figure that out right now because she has a year of being 18 left, in which it's acceptable to not have a plan. And she will take it seriously in the summer once I'm done with high school and she can make a plan for herself, which resolves around my plan and which university I go to. Honestly, her carefree attitude to the direction her life is going is making me unattracted to her. I know that most kids my age are like this, and as she gets older, she'll probably get it together and want better for herself. But I'm really struggling to even want to keep being in a relationship with her. I don't know if I want to wait it out and see if she changes. My gut is telling me I shouldn't waste either of our time by carrying on this relationship. I know what I want for my life, and it's not to be with a girl who completely lacks ambition. I don't know if I'm being overly judgmental about this. What do I do? I think that you should break up with her. And not in a mean way. I don't think that this girl is a bad person or anything. This is not a dramatic thing here, but I just think why be together for longer. You're 18. You're both going to get over it. You're both going to do things. I think 18 is a good time to be single. They are 18, just babies. Yeah. But I'm also very much a believer in, like, there's not one person for you. There's like 1 million people for you out there. I think every relationship is going to teach you something new. I'm a big believer in, like, when a relationship ends, it can be a beautiful thing because that means you're going to get to experience more people and more things. Like, I'm very much on that side of things, where I know certain people are more on the other side of, this person is it. It depends how you work. But so for me, I would definitely say break up because they're so young and it'll teach them so many things. Well, if the thought crossed his mind enough to make a post, yeah, ending it is probably the right choice. I agree, Garbo. The only thing that irks me a bit is the way he talks about wasting time. Like, you're 18, bro. But other than that, it just seems like a normal breakup. From my perspective, when he's saying that, like, I don't want to waste any of our time, I think that means that he's kind of subconsciously decided on breaking up. Definitely sounds like he's decided, but I feel like people post these things just to get validation in their thought process before going ahead with it. I definitely think that's true, G. Yeah. Should we read one more or should we end it there? Okay. This Reddit story is from Relationship Advice again. And the title is My 29M Wife 27F has been working from home the past few months and has started having her high school ex over a lot. I told her this is unacceptable. Am I in the wrong for this? So this story is 4 years old, which means this happened during COVID, and I think they specified that as well. Hey everyone! I know that the title may sound confusing without the background that I'm about to give. So ever since COVID started, my wife has been working from home. My job never let us do that, so I still have been driving to work every day. She has a friend that she occasionally hangs out with. He's been invited to hang out with both of us before too. He's nice, fun to hang around, and pretty cool. I've had no problems with this. My wife made me aware pretty early on that she had dated him in high school. She said that they dated their freshman and sophomore year. They never had sex but did mess around. They started reconnecting as friends during their senior year. At that time, he had a girlfriend and she was starting to see another guy as well. She claims that after they broke up, there was never anything romantic between them again. When COVID started, my wife said that she would be able to work from home. I was glad and happy for her as I knew it would be easier and even save gas. She said that her friend was going to be able to work from home too, so they may meet up sometimes to go over their work and help each other out. They both work in similar fields. One day I came home and noticed that he was there. I thought nothing of it as my wife had told me about this. They both had their computers and looked like they were working pretty hard. For a while it was like this. Suddenly, a few weeks in, I would come home and they would be casually hanging out and having fun. Sometimes they would be playing a game, sometimes they would be drinking, sometimes they would be eating. I started finding this a little bit weird. It seemed as though he was getting more attention than me, and she was having a better time with him than me. Then, one day, I came home and it was the final straw. They were both on the couch and her head was in his lap while they were watching TV. I waited until he left and then had a talk with her. I was fuming. I yelled at her and told her that her actions had been unacceptable and that there's no reason she should be laying with a friend like that. I expressed how I felt like she had been showing him more attention than her husband and that it seemed like they were having more fun together than we do. Not to mention that they had dated before and fooled around. She got really upset and said I had no right to tell her that she could no longer hang around someone. She was mad that I seemed to claim that she was cheating on me with him and swore that she was not and would not do that. She said that all they were doing was relaxing and that it was not wrong to lay her head on his lap. The last 2 days, he has not been at the house when I got home. She says that she hasn't seen him since our talk. I apologize for being so angry about it. She doesn't seem like she has really accepted my apology, as she has been really quiet around me ever since. How do I make things better? Is she cheating? How do I handle things between her and this friend? Okay, so that's the first original post. And then there's an update to that post that we're going to read after. But what are the takes now, just at first glance? It's at least a bit strange without knowing. I thought this story was going to be a lighthearted one. We got cheating divorce. GG. Yes, sure. But at least it's not us thinking about war and like evil and good. I don't know how appropriate it was for him to shout at her about it. As valid as his feelings are, there are much better approaches to dealing with that as a couple than shouting and accusations. Sure, but like, I think he's built up this resentment for a while, maybe without noticing himself. Who knows? I think that it sounds like a really weird thing. I think it sounds like this wife maybe like doesn't really know what's going on herself. Either she is cheating. There's definitely a possibility of that. Or she just herself is like wrapped up in the situation and not like sitting down and thinking about what she's doing. So to her, in her mind and in her world, it may seem like, oh, we're just friends. Like we just have like a cool, friendly relationship. But I think in these situations, I think you have to have like a talk with your partner. I think in all relationships, it's good to have a talk about like, what are our physical boundaries with friends and with people like that? Because that's something important, I think, to have said when you're dating somebody. Also for him, he should probably have brought it up and been like, hey, I'm noticing you're hanging out with this guy that you used to date long ago every day. I'm feeling maybe that I want to spend some more time with you because I'm feeling a little bit neglected. Like, can we have a chat about this and see where she's at with it? You gotta talk about annoying stuff like that. As annoying and as much work that is, like that's what a relationship is, you know? You gotta do it. So you're so right. The physical boundary talk is essential. I cuddle with friends as I'm single, but a certain amount of physical touch would be maybe crossing boundaries if I had a partner. Yes, it's really important to talk about. I mean, from what it sounds like, they spent a lot of time apart in that span. He was at work, she was at home, she wanted companionship, and she sought that out perhaps at the expense of boundary breaking actions. That's a theory. Let's read the update. I'm excited now to see what happens. Update! We love an update. Okay, so last week I posted here about my wife spending time at our house with an old ex that she used to have from high school. He had been coming over and working from home with her ever since COVID started. At first, I thought nothing of it as they were simply helping each other out with their work. Then they started to hang out and stuff more. When I caught her laying down with her head in his lap, I had enough. I told her he could no longer come over. She was mad and took offense to this, but agreed. Most people here agreed with me that it was sketchy for her to do this. I was made aware that he could still be coming over during the day and leaving before I get there. I ended up buying a camera that I could set up and hide while I'm at work. I put one in the living room and one in the bedroom. The first day they were set up, I saw nothing unusual. The second day was when it happened. The ex came over. At first they were just working, but then he started to get pretty touchy with her. It progressed until they needed up going to our bedroom and sleeping together. I was shocked. I wasn't sure what to do. As soon as I saw my wife again, I questioned her if she had been seeing him anymore. She denied it. I told her that I had cameras installed in the house. Her face changed completely then. She knew what I had seen. She immediately started crying. I told her to leave the house. She tried to apologize and explain, but I wasn't having any of it. Since then, we have talked to each other once. I told her that I don't see how anything can happen besides a divorce. She said she doesn't want that and asked if I would go to couples counseling one time before making that final decision. I reluctantly agreed. I don't expect it to work and I'm mainly doing it to humor her. I'm still looking and trying to contact a divorce attorney as I'm typing this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna blow up. Oh no. Yikes. Not the camera though. Not the camera, brother. Bad. Yeah. Oh my god. The camera's diabolical, to be honest. That's just him needing intel so bad. Yeah, you gotta talk. I've heard, I've never seen it with my own eyes, but I've heard that people can stay together after cheating. But it's such a fucking project. Like, it's so much work, and you kind of have to start a new relationship again. But some people do it and make it work, but I've never seen it. But I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't think I would ever want to do that. I have no sympathy for cheaters. Interesting. I definitely can have sympathy for cheaters. But that's to say I've never been cheated on, and I've never cheated. I've never really seen that situation up close. So, you know, maybe if that happened, I would change my mind. But yeah, I don't think that all cheaters are like horrendous people. I've walked in on my partner cheating. Cheating is the end. That person gets removed from my life completely. Yeah. And I support you in that, Teal. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's so rough. Like, so difficult. Cheat on me and I'll make you my stepchild and treat you like you're adopted. That's a fucking threat, if I've ever heard one. Oh my god. That was the last Reddit story, by the way. I'm grateful for you guys discussing with me and making me laugh, and also making me think about deep and dark things.